Good evening, friends. It is week 10 in the NFL, and we are 9 weeks down in the Massillon Football League, Massillon Fantasy League. And I don't know about you guys. This is a fucking struggle. We are 3 people on this show, and the 2 hosts are the ones not making the playoffs. Darren's out here handling his business. But I'll start with Dan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah, as your comment is, hello, darkness, my old friend. You look like you're sitting in a cave right now, just terrified. Yep. Fantasy football. Well, let's talk to somebody who's enjoying fantasy football. Darren, what a season you've put together. You're actually earning it this year because you had great players last year. This year, you didn't have the best players, but you're just winning games. It's working out really well for you. So.
Well, winning games, I don't know. I could say that. I've won some games.
You've won more than you've lost, which is something nobody else on this stream can say right now.
Can't string 2 of them together at the same time, which is difficult for me now. But yeah, last year it seemed to just roll. I was having some good matchup lucks. Yeah, but this year it's been a struggle, but I've been positive. So
hey. Like I said, you're the only one on the show with a winning record right now, which is now 2 weeks in a row. Dan and I are dealing with that, but I have a feeling the way the season's going, it's going to be like that for the rest. As always, guys, let's start about what we learned last week. I'm going to start with the high score because he's on the show right now. Darren, 170 last week. That is the highest score of the 2024 season in the Massillon Fantasy League. And you had a 0 at tight end, Darren,
yeah,
which is incredible. It's amazing what good Patrick Mahomes can do for your fantasy team. Darren, I'm going to let you talk about that a little bit, but Dan noticed something last week that I guess we need to talk about the league. It's been like this for 2 seasons. Dan's the first one to bring it up, but with the way Sleeper does their scoring, I didn't think it counted sacks as tackles for a loss, but apparently it does. And right now for IDP, a sack is worth more than a touchdown. Do we need to change it? It's not like sacks happen all the time, but Darren, you hit a home run last week with your IDP.
Yeah, I look at those kind of stats and those numbers across the board. When I pick up players, and that's one of the things that I was noticing. Don't give away my strat, but apparently you just did.
Well, that's how I used to play it. I used to play it that swing big with the guys who can get the sacks. I didn't like to go linebackers. This year I'm playing it the linebacker way, and I don't know. It's not working. So clearly it worked out well for you last week. It's
not always about the big names when it comes to the, special teams guys or the defensive guys. It's who's getting the points. I mean, points win the games. It doesn't matter if you're starting your favorite player or not.
Yeah, or TJ Watt, but he's been getting the points and being the best player. And then honestly, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, going into the game on Monday night, it was a tight one. Sunday night, Dan had a chance, but I mean, it was close. You didn't have anybody left.
Hendrickson ruined that, and then when Puka got kicked out of that game, it was lights out for me.
It was lights out.
Puka
I thought it was a weak call too.
What's that?
Darren said he thought it was a weak call.
Oh, it was terrible.
And then low score and a first for the season was Rob Motts with 69 points. Apparently the tank started before the tank because Rob forgot to put in the defense and IDP, or the tight end and IDP that he picked up. So that is our first lottery penalty of the season for missing a lineup start. On top of not setting his own lineup, being killed by himself, CJ Stroud is just letting Rob down. And Darren, I've been busting Patrick Mahomes balls this entire season. It looks like I need to back off of him. CJ Stroud might be the new Patrick Mahomes for fantasy football right now.
Yeah, he's pretty disappointing. I mean, the first 4 weeks, he was back to his normal thing, but I don't know. He's not strong. He's got a ton of talent. I mean, I don't know if Nico Collins is going to help him out this week. He comes back, but he didn't do a ton when the guy was playing with him. So yeah, it's tough to say.
You have an interesting point. He scored 17 points in week 1. Over the last 3 weeks, he scored 15 points. So he has more points in week 1 than he does his last 3 games. Dan, is Nico Collins going to fix CJ Stroud?
No, we talked about this last week where about how bad that offensive line is. And I think until that gets fixed, until those guys get healthy, it's going to be rough going.
Those are my couple of points that I picked up from last week. Dan, you got anything to add to it?
No, just pain. More pain.
Darren,
I'd rather have had a terrible week and lost than have the 3rd highest score and still lose.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like to score points at this point. My team is garbage. Darren, do you want to bring some happiness? Did you pick up anything in week 9 other than 170 fantasy points?
I did a few things actually.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley is ridiculous.
I have watched that play more times than I care to admit. Never seen anything like it. Can't stop watching it. It's incredible. And then I just caught today, there was cell phone video of the bench reaction when he did it, and the whole bench went nuts like it was a backyard basketball game. It's fun to watch. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's pretty cool. So.
They're just kids. I mean, they're literally just kids out there, and it's hard to see that because they're, I mean, massive. But the fact that guy can do that, and did you see he actually got popped on that? So
yeah.
he turned around and he was midair. That dude come around and smacked him hard, and he's still no big deal.
Yep,
got up and trotted away. So, and I have to admit, and we'll talk about this, I know, later on, but Lamar Jackson, I was never really a fan of Lamar Jackson ever.
Yeah.
I actually did some research on Lamar Jackson a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
That dude's a good guy. Like, I know he's a 2-time MVP and he puts up points and stuff, but I don't think he gets enough respect in the league, honestly. He's not like everybody knows who he is. 2-time MVP, and nobody really knows outside of NFL who he is. Everybody knows who Patrick Mahomes is, but it's just one of those things that's kind of sad.
It's fair. Obviously, fantasy people know who Lamar is, but where Patrick Mahomes is famous outside, Lamar Jackson is not that. And you could argue over the last, it's the Super Bowl wins, but over the last 3-4 years, Lamar Jackson has done as much as Patrick Mahomes on the field outside of, winning the Super Bowl. So, Dan, how do you feel about Lamar Jackson after Thursday night being a Bengals fan?
He's had some big games against the Bengals before. Obviously, he's a good player, but he can't win in the playoffs. So he's never going to get the Patrick Mahomes love if you can't win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's just the difference between the two. There's careers.
Yeah, crazy 2 games between the Bengals and Ravens this year. Did you see the stat?
Jamar
Chase has more points against the Ravens this year than Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, and like 3 other wide receiver ones have in fantasy football right now for the whole season. Jamar Chase has done that just against the Ravens.
Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, like the numbers that they put up against the Ravens and to lose both games.
That's probably never happened before.
tons of things have never happened before between that.
Give a quick shout out to Nate. If we get someone dropped out, the league wants you in. We'll get it figured out, my friend. All right, guys, let's talk about the trades. There were a bunch. I'm going to list them off. You guys can react to them as you want after I list them off for everybody. So Rob to JR sent Tank Dell to get back Diggs, a 6 and a 7. Steve Horvath to me, Tyreek Hill for Jonathan Brooks and Deontay Johnson. Eric to Kenny, Kyler Murray for Jameson Williams. Taylor to Rob P. Chuba for a 3. And then Rob completes the sell-off. He gives Greg Aaron Jones, Devonta Smith, a 5 and a 6 for a 1 and a 3. And then Rob to Terry. I guess Terry really wanted an upgrade at IDP. JJ Watt, a 7 and a 10 for Roquan Smith, a 5 and a 9. So as I mentioned in what I learned, the tank kind of started before the tank, but it seems like Rob is certainly done. Dan, you mentioned off air that you felt like Tank Dell and Tyreek Hill were given away.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob traded Tank Dell to get Stephon Diggs, right?
30-year-old receiver on IR. Yep.
Yes, a 30-year-old receiver with a torn ACL who does not have a contract for next year.
Correct. And a 6 and a 7.
For a young, up-and-coming receiver. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were pretty befuddled by that. We talked about that when we were on college the other day. Darren, what's your takeaway from the trades?
It's the same. There's not a lot of he gave too much to get not anything out of it. I don't know.
I feel like the Aaron Jones Devonta for the 1 and the 3. I felt like that was a good trade for Rob. Yeah,
that's fine.
And then any pick upgrade for an IDP, I feel like was a nice thing. He upgraded 3 rounds just to switch for Watt and Roquan. I thought that was a good trade. The Dell trade felt weird. Horvath had been asking me for Brooks earlier in the year. I had a feeling he was probably down on his season, so I figured to shoot my shot. He let that trade sit for 3 days, and I was contemplating pulling it back multiple times and decided not to. And I don't know. We'll see if Tyreek Hill makes any difference. He hopefully helps me get the first pick because I don't think I'm making the playoffs.
See, I wish people let me look at things for 3 days. Someone I was negotiating a trade with someone, they countered, and I was in the middle of like some crazy thing at work, and I saw the trade, but I couldn't have time to go in and just like actually look at it. And by the time I got time, they already pulled it back. I'm like, killing me.
Did you resend it? Try to negotiate?
No, I did not.
So it's their fault, not yours.
I mean, they canceled. They trade back. They obviously weren't going to do it, but.
All right, guys, let's get into the games this week. We'll talk playoffs after we talk our predictions. So the thing I found interesting, I'm going to scroll these matchups here. I always try to put like the most playoff implication matchup as the matchup of the week. I think Sleeper actually did it for me this week. The very last matchup is Terry versus Greg. That is the 5-4 team versus the 8-1. We only have 2 matchups this week where both teams are above 500, but one of them kind of ended, Darren, after Thursday night. So you're going to talk about yours in order. So we're going to start with me because Sleeper starts with me because it's my sleeper. I got 6.5 points on Thursday night out of Jermaine Pratt, the IDP spot. I am projected to win this matchup 109-100, assuming Caleb Williams actually shows up. Darren, you are the guest. I'll let you get us started on this one.
It's a tight matchup. I honestly, I think that JR has probably the edge in the quarterback position. I think you, Ryan, you probably have, you definitely have the better running backs. I think you've built yourself a great team in the wrong time of the season.
I don't know about that word great. I mean,
okay, you built yourself a better team than you had 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
at the wrong time of the season. I think
that lost last week.
Yeah, I think Taylor sold you
at the
right time. At the right time. I don't think you ever would have accepted that trade
if it were not live on
air. Dude, I didn't get to watch that video. I was actually doing yard work, listening to the podcast in my earphones. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And I wasn't there to watch it. Like I was doing something else.
What's funny is I feel like me and Taylor both felt like we got bullied into that trade live on air. I don't think either one of us is happy. I'm sure Taylor's ecstatic with it now, but
I think you're set up great for next year.
We'll see.
You got some talent going for next year.
I think I'm set up great for a Monday Night Football fire sale. We'll see how that works.
I was going to ask you later in the show, are you staying up Monday night to get these trades through? Before
100%. Yep. I'll actually probably turn off. I think we are at a better place now as a league. I'm actually probably going to turn off commissioner approval of trades. Just don't fuck up and trade any 2026 picks so I don't have to fix it. But we'll make sure every trade gets through on Monday night. And that's a good time to bring this up because I forgot to mention the last week's show. The second Monday Night Football ends, you will not be able to send trades, and I don't think you'll be able to accept trades. So if you want trades done, they have to be while the clock is still ticking on Monday Night Football, everybody. Sorry, Darren, keep going with the game.
Oh, no, you're good. I think your receivers are better. Tight ends are a wash. I really think the key is the quarterback. I know I said that JR probably has the better one, and I think it's probably just because I hate Caleb Williams. I am actually going to take you, Ryan, for this one. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself there, but
yeah,
I just don't like Caleb Williams.
Well, let me remind everybody because maybe we need to listen to you. So last week I went 4-3. Dan, you went 3-4. Darren, you bounced back. You go 5-2. So as of this moment, I am sitting at 36 correct. Dan is 35 correct. Darren is 34 correct. So we are right next to each other. Kenny also went 4-3 as the guest last week. So the contest is super tight. But Darren, you had the best week out of all of us last week. All right, Dan, what do you got going on here? I'm
taking JR. You got too many injury. Like, how much is McCaffrey going to play? How much is London going to be effective? Is he going to be? And I just think looking at JR.
And now Tyreek Hill might not play Monday. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, they're saying it's this weird wrist injury, and they're going to see how he feels in the pregame. So,
are you going to leave him in there then? Or are you going to play someone on Sunday that you have?
Well, I think the issue is I might have to cut somebody and go get somebody who's playing on Monday just to have that weird backup. I guess Odell Beckham. I don't know.
So even better reason than going JR.
So I agree with Darren that this is a pretty close matchup, and I've decided to take the Dan route on this one, and I am also going to pick JR. That way I'm happy either way. Either I get the pick right or I still have a chance at the playoffs. I need Caleb Williams and Sam Laporta to just get their shit together. I did want to ask you guys, because Darren, you had mentioned quarterback was an edge for you here. Cousins versus Goff, and I think actually he had Goff in when I did my first initial reaction to this, because I would have certainly started Cousins, and now he has Cousins in. So I guess I'll still ask you, Darren, does Cousins versus Goff make any play here for you whatsoever? Is Cousins the play?
Cousins is playing New Orleans. I think it's the same team. They're playing Dallas. I don't think that it really makes any difference. They're both shit teams. I think that New Orleans is probably going to be better for Cousins. So I don't think it makes any difference. I still pick you.
All right, Dan, Cousins or Goff, which one would you take?
I mean, here's the thing. I think Cousins is going to get you that consistent 15 to 20, which is nice. Goff is either going to get you 10 or 30. What do you need? Do you need the risk of 30 or you just want the consistent 15 to 20?
Yeah, that's fair. That's what Goff has been this year. One of the worst 3 touchdown games I've ever seen in my life. I think he had fewer than 100 yards and 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. Just an ugly, ugly game. Speaking of ugly, Darren got Thursday nighted, 49 to 4.25 right now. Lamar Jackson went off, but on top of Lamar Jackson, that guy also had the stack. Mark Andrews. Sleeper has this as a 40-point blowout. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this game, Darren. I think it's a hole you can't climb out of. I think AJ Brown is also going to have a nice game. I'm taking Rob P. I don't think Darren can come back, Dan.
Neither do I. I still don't understand how Darren's team got 170 last week. Still, I love you, Darren, but I don't think it makes sense to me. But,
if he can do that again, he'll certainly come back. So.
I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. But Bobby wins. He'll take the W again.
Gets back on the winning side of the stat books after taking that first L last week.
I am happy to see he did take an L. I don't want anybody going undefeated in this league.
Yep. Hasn't ever happened.
Agreed.
So. Darren, where do you stand? Do you have a comeback? Do you have another 170 in your future?
I mean, that would be great. 45 on a Thursday. It's just,
my God, what a game.
It's so, dude, that game was amazing. That game was amazing. I didn't watch it live because I was almost dying.
Yeah.
Both
my co-hosts are very sick folks. So.
So I didn't watch it until the next day, but man, that was awesome. What entertainment. NFL, again, the refs are just controlling games. Yeah. It is horrible. You can obviously see that they want the AFC Championship game to be the Ravens and the Chiefs. Like it's horrible. Yeah. Like it's so obvious. Yeah. I don't know that I'd have gone for 2 either. It's not what I'd have done. But anyway, I
absolutely support going for 2. And that's Lamar has absolutely. They scored 4 straight touchdowns in the second half against that Bengals defense. You're going to put it on a coin toss. You're going to leave it up to your offense.
It's true. I mean, it's a power move. But if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't work, everybody's like me. They're questioning it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate the way the game ended. Like. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. It's a Bengals thing, not a fantasy football thing. But
I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch more of it. I thought it was great.
It was a great game, but I just get frustrated with the referees in the NFL.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you had the hands to the face and a holding on that last play.
I don't know if you guys watched the whole. I mean, I saw a photo from the game where there was an offensive line for the Bengals and the Ravens defensive line. Both defensive tackles had both the 2 Bengals offensive linemen's face masks and Joe Burrow's face mask all in the same picture.
Oh my!
Like the defensive tackle that had Joe Burrow's face mask actually had the center's face mask in his other hand.
Yeah, it's rough.
I don't know. It's just super frustrating.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us there.
I was gonna say I knew you were gonna get Dan riled up there. So.
No, you're fine.
Try my best,
It wasn't meant to, honestly, Dan. I was not trying to get you riled up.
I know. It's not just the Bengals thing, though. It's the whole NFL to me. Like, it's just there's no consistency, and it's just
inconsistency. Yeah.
Agreed. So on paper, he has a better team. On Sunday, he's going to have a better team. If the Dolphins play well, Achane could help.
I'm gonna pop Achane up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm not decided on having Tua in there yet or not. Depends on what I'm thinking. I think if Neighbors plays and he balls out, I'm over. It's done.
Yeah.
If the game's close on Monday, I've got a chance. So that's all I can say. I think I'm going to go for Rob. Yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah, I figured you would. I didn't know how well you guys can see it, but Achane's numbers with Tua, I noticed this for a show this week, especially in the passing game. So in the 4 games he's played with Tua, 18, 22, 20, 27 in our league scoring. In the games he didn't have Tua, 6, 4, 2, 7. But the more important thing, first game, 7 catches. Second game, 7 catches. 8th game, 6 catches. 9th game, 8 catches. He is a receiving freak and has 3 receiving touchdowns with Tua in the game. I've never seen a running back be so quarterback dependent as Devon Achane. So I love it for you. As long as Tua can stay healthy. I was saying, I want to bring this up to you as a Dolphins fan since we spent so much time on the Bengals. I think it is criminally irresponsible that the Dolphins do not have like this established backup quarterback. You can't have Skylar Thompson and pick Tyler Huntley up off the street. If you have a guy with concussion issues, you need to have a real backup quarterback. And it's just shocking to me that for 2 years now, they haven't done it.
Yes, I totally agree with you. 100%. There's a lot of quality quarterbacks that were on the waivers. Exactly. The Browns fans know all about one of them. Yeah. Flacco was like, all right, I'll just go someplace else. And, so they're definitely available. And the fact that he's actually playing right now when they're like 2-12 or whatever is absolutely ridiculous. But hey, whatever. You guys questioned by the way, like a few weeks back, you guys questioned my Devon Achane trade with Eric. I traded with Eric specifically for Devon Achane because of Tua coming back.
Yeah, as a Dolphins fan, you probably knew about those trends.
I know all about I knew what was going to happen. So I was just trying to get on the train. So
yeah, good on you. Because like I said, I was shocked when I looked it up. I was doing it a bit for one of my shows last week, and so I'm digging into his splits, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is a top 5 running back when Tua plays, and he's barely a top 30 running back when Tua doesn't play.
Which is also weird how that offense just sputters when he's not a quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. If they do not sign a big money backup this offseason, I don't know what they're doing. Speaking of games that ended on Thursday night, Dan gets Mr. Tank, Rob Motts, 56-16. Dan's already up 40. He's projected to win by 35. Again, I have nothing to add. I'm picking Dan. My only note says this was a blowout before Thursday. And Dan, I'll be interested to see if you can push for worst beating in league history.
Ooh.
No, it ain't going to happen.
I mean,
my team is
Rob's team is shit.
Apparently when I play teams, they just score 170. So expect another 170 this week from Rob.
So who are you picking?
I'm picking myself. I'm going to score 171.
So. I love it.
Rob
Darren, anything to add to this monstrosity? By the way, Dan had both Joe Burrow and Chase Brown for those wondering how he built that lead up.
Yeah, Dan's gonna win this one. There's no doubt. And like he said, unless Rob decides to, I don't know, score 170 again or whatever, it could happen. But
if he scores 170 this week, I'm quitting the league.
Not with his roster.
There you go, Nate. We'll get you in at that point. Hey guys, let's talk about another game that ended on Thursday night when Kenny got 48 points out of Jamar Chase, though it was a quiet night for Kyle Hamilton. Still got 8.5 points out of the IDP. Kenny up 56-0. Horvath didn't have anybody, if I remember correctly. Nobody out of that game. Horvath projected to win this, Kenny projected to win this one by 51 points. I'm picking Kenny. I have nothing to add. Darren, anything to add to this one? Yeah, that's right. I'm picking Kenny. In my notes, I had Horvath written down for some reason because I'm a moron. So
I'm picking Kenny. He's going to run away with this one. Like I said, big Thursday. Funny stat or a funny thing, I think Chase will probably score more points than all of the receivers in his starting lineup. Mainly because Dak's out. I think they're going to struggle for quite a bit in the receivers aspect. But yeah, I think it's a pretty easy. I think this is Kenny's last win, by the way.
ooh, now let me before we move on.
Little teaser.
Let me see if I agree with you. I don't. Interesting. Okay, that's fun. So obviously you're picking Kenny. Dan, anything to add on?
Thanks, Kenny.
What I'm certain is a Kenny pick.
Kenny, we're good. Move on.
Okay. All right, give me a second here just to get these picks in here. Not that I will forget after the show because I know who you're picking. All right. And now a game that's actually competitive. Phil versus Eric. Not great things out of Thursday night for either one of them. Eric got 3 points out of Andre Yoshivas and 8 points out of the Baltimore defense. Phil got 2 points out of Justin Tucker. Very quiet night for Justin Tucker. Sleeper has this game as 83-86. So 4-5, 3-6, probably playing for their playoff life. I would say the loser of this game is probably pretty thoroughly eliminated. Not projected to be a big week for these guys. I'll actually get us started. I think this is going to be a very close game, but I think Jalen Hurts and Kareem Hunt are going to be the deciding factors. I will add that on Phil's side, I had my notes all the way wrong here. I didn't realize. I think Jalen Hurts, and then if Taysom Hill goes off, this could actually be a blowout. For some reason, I had it in my notes that Taysom Hill was on the other team. But I will say DJ Moore could play a factor in this one, but Caleb Williams and the Bears offense has been so bad, I just don't think that he will. Seeing that I had Taysom Hill on the wrong team, this definitely is a big win for Eric, for me, Darren.
I actually have Eric winning this one as well. Eric actually still has a pretty good roster.
He does. Like you texted me that last week. Yeah. So.
It's just underperformed. I mean, it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. Although I feel like Hurts is finally coming to his own. Like he's figured out his role with Saquon for some reason, and he's been able to kind of feel comfortable back there. Eric's going to win this one fairly comfortable, I think.
Dan, on top of your winner, what in the world is going on with T. Higgins? Are these just business decisions?
No, he's legit hurt.
He
wants to be out there. Like, I don't question him about that one bit. Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, all this is doing is costing him money.
Yeah,
he has an injury history. He's only played like 65% of his eligible games as a pro. If he went out there this year and played 17 games, he would get paid wide receiver one money.
I say he'd get paid filthy next year. Now he's looking like he's going to be on a 1-year prove-it deal. So
that's a potential. I mean, I feel bad for
it could be good for the Bengals. That might be a 1-year prove-it deal back with Cincinnati. Makes it a little easier for you guys to bring him back.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing down there.
Anyway, who you got to win this one?
I'm going to go with Eric. I think he has the top end is just a little bit better than Phil's top end. So.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand as well. Not a lot of time we need to spend on this one. One team is tanking. One team is fighting to be one of the better teams in the league. Taylor has projected to get 60 points right now. I'm not going to do a big breakdown here. I got Stevie winning this one. Dan?
Same. Stevie.
Darren?
Stevie.
I had a feeling this was going to be a fast show. I said, hey, since both my co-hosts are sick, I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. But let's talk game of the week because this one is interesting. This is only the second game this week with above 500 teams. Greg, the joke of the draft, is 8-1 right now. Terry 5-4 on the back of King Henry. However, the first thing I wrote in my notes, a little spoiler alert, King Henry was kind of average on Thursday, and so was Zay Flowers. When everybody else was scoring points, these guys kind of had mediocre days. Right now, Terry is up 17. The projected score on this game is 111-106. Terry is projected to win this game by 5 points. Darren, you are the guest. Bring us home. Who do you got winning the game of the week?
I think Terry's going to get this one. I honestly think Greg's had the easiest schedule throughout the season. He's 8-2 or 8-1 or whatever. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's got a really strong team, and he didn't draft it. You guys are talking about he was at this this party or whatever, and somebody else was drafting his team. Does he get credit if he wins a championship? Is it like Greg and
let's be clear
parentheses or something?
Let's be clear. I also said that I have to quit the league if he makes.
Oh,
I think I said if he makes the playoffs. Actually, I think I said if he wins the championship, we have to delete the league. Is what I said. So let's hope that no one has to test me on that.
If he makes the playoffs, you're quitting.
Because my God, what are we all doing at this point?
Was Lee still here? I
was gonna say
this is his best week so far.
He might be in here. But yeah, Greg, Darren, I just went and looked. Greg has the easiest schedule by almost 70 points,
which is just ridiculous, right? I mean, I don't know. But Terry's team has actually got some talent on it, like from the quarterback down to the defensive player. I mean, it's just he matches up against any team. I didn't look at his points, his schedule, but the fact that he's 5-4 is, it's surprising, honestly.
Let's see here. Terry's sitting at 1,004. He is one of only 4 teams that have had 1,000 points scored against them. So yeah, he has at least the 4th toughest schedule.
Okay.
Right. Dan, what do you got here?
I'm taking Greg. I think he gets the win.
Well, me and Darren are on the same page for almost every pick, I think, today, except for the first one, because I'm agreeing with Darren here. But go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I think Terry's gonna be hurting having those 2 guys have off nights already. So I'm going with Greg.
I think Terry's going to be able to recover. I think Josh Allen, Terry McLaurin, and then George Kittle all give him enough of positional advantage. The one thing I wanted to ask you guys is in the flex spot for Greg. Let me get that game back up before we talk playoffs. In the flex spot for Greg, he is going Devonta Smith, who was on the injury report most of the week. He's cleared to play. He's off the injury report. But Greg also has Najee Harris and Austin Eckler on the bench. Brian Robinson out this week. Would you guys consider starting one of those for sure healthy players? Najee Harris coming off of a bye week instead of a hurt Devonta Smith, or are you guys just sticking with Smith based on what you've seen out of him, Darren?
It's tough. They're playing Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Is that who we're playing? It's tough. Devonta Smith is always, he's been playing really well lately, even whether he's banged up or not. I never really trusted Najee Harris. So I would probably put in Devonta Smith. I assume that he probably drafted him higher. You go with what you draft. It's kind of my motto.
I think that's fair. Dan?
I don't particularly trust Devonta Smith, so I would not play him there. When I knew Rob was tanking, I looked at his roster and thought for a second about, do I really want him? And I said no quickly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't trust him. He's too inconsistent. Now, is A.J. Brown healthy this week?
Yes, both playing this week. Both came off the injury report.
They're not going to put up a ton of points to beat the Cowboys with no Dak. I don't see it being a big week for him. I would start somebody else.
All right. I was just wondering about that. I love question and lineup decisions. Guys, let's talk playoffs. I'll announce my team first. Darren, I left you out last week. I'm taking myself out this week. I don't think I can win any tiebreakers, and I don't think you're going to have to win any tiebreakers. My playoff teams are same as last week. Rob P., Stevie, Kenny, Greg, Terry, but Darren steals my spot. Those are my 6. I still have Stevie winning the championship. Metzger, what do you got here?
I'm going to go with Rob, Greg, Kenny, Steve, Terry, and then I'm going to put JR in there.
Ooh, so you're leaving Darren out. You're putting JR in. Who's your champ?
I'm still going with Rob P.
Still Rob P?
Yep.
And Darren, bring us home one.
Wins.
Oh, you're fine. What'd you say?
Said Bobby wins.
Oh, Bobby wins. I forgot we nicknamed him that. I have to start calling him that. Darren, bring us home. Who are your playoff teams? How do you see it going down?
I got new Rob, Greg, Stevie, Terry. I got myself, and I actually have Dan in there.
Still
I
in
have
Kenny's
Kenny
spot.
Sliding out.
That's right. You said you think Kenny loses
playoffs.
every game rest of the season. So.
Yeah, I think he slides. He's 6-3 right now?
6-3 right now. So if he loses out, he ain't making the playoffs, plain and simple. So
yep, I think he loses all out, and he doesn't make the playoffs. No offense to Kenny, but that's just how I feel. He's got a weak team.
No offense, team shit. I broke it down to where I have projected wins for the rest of the season. I had to go look at a few of them, and I should probably do it again because I did this before Rob Motts tanked. And so I have it as like a 3-way tie for for the last playoff spot, and I just can't get in on total points. I'm going to be the one who gets left out of that scenario. So and that assumes my team actually shows up. I know Dan thinks it's hilarious when I talk about my team like they're a playoff team, but one of us has to believe.
What's your best record you can get? 7-6 or 6-7? 7-6? What's the best record?
I can hit 8 wins if I win out.
You can 8 wins? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's going to take 8 wins. So I have to win out to even have a chance, but I don't think I get in on total points anyway.
Okay.
I think a 7-win team's going to sneak in.
Ooh, I don't know. I can tell you guys how I have it broken down. So I have Rob P finishing with 11 wins. I think he loses week 14. He has a weird bye week that week. I think Stevie wins out with 10 wins. Greg and Kenny hitting 9. Myself, Darren, and Terry hitting 8. So that's why I just don't think a 7 is going to sneak in. I actually don't even have a 7, Dan. I have Horvath, you, Phil, Eric, all at 6 wins right now. So I don't know. Like I said, just how I broke it down. All right, guys. As always, we end with the game. Last week, Nate takes it down for the second week in a row. I don't think we've ever had someone win it 2 weeks in a row, though. Dan, you probably had 48 points last week. Kenny had 42. I had 40. Darren and Dan did not have great weeks, 26 and 25. Taylor had an even worse week with a whopping 20 points. So that is Nate's second win of the season. I will give Kenny credit with his Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. He had the top quarterback in fantasy football last week. Darren, you are the guest. You get to choose. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What do you got?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll take Daniels and Barkley.
I don't think you can go wrong picking Barkley. Anybody who happens to follow me on Fantasy Pros, which I know is none of you, I did have Lamar Jackson as the number 1 quarterback this week. Clearly he's not. That's Joe Burrow. But I pivoted to my second because I didn't want someone who had played already. So Dan,
Joe Burrow? You pick Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow is my 3. I'm going to go with the guy I have at 2, Josh Allen. I'm going to go Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson to try to win this thing, Dan.
I'm going Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I mean,
so are you doing it? Are you just taking the win?
Yeah, I'm just taking the win. I need to win. I need to win somewhere, guys.
Dan,
what a jerk.
Dan with the rules just wants to make it out like he's a genius.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not actually going to take those.
I know.
Hurts and I was going to go Jefferson, but you took him, so I'm going to go Kyron Williams.
Ooh,
against the Dolphins.
I was going to say, yeah, going up against Dan's
guy. They let
there.
everybody score.
So here's the thing. Everybody that's come on this show has had a terrible week that week. Like no guest has come on here and had a good week. Like I think they're 0-4 so far.
Ooh, that's an interesting stat.
I think it's going to continue for you. You're going to lose in fantasy this week. Dolphins are going to be terrible. It's going to be an all around just bad weekend.
I just need Tua to survive this week. Maybe get a win. And I don't know if that's too much ask. Because I'm going to the Dolphins game next weekend in Miami. So
yeah, and God forbid you have to
survive.
Skylar Thompson
survive 1 week, so we don't have to watch some goofball out there.
You can't say that though, because
slinging the ball.
If he survives 1 week, that means he's just going to get hurt next week while you're there.
That's fine. I'm there. That's fine. It's worth it then. I get to see it live.
Yeah, he gets to watch a man die from a concussion on the field.
Yeah, What did you say last week? Crinkle his fingers up like that or something? That was hilarious. You had me rolling.
The gang signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no good. All right, guys, that's the end of the show. Thank you, Darren. Thank you guys for watching, though. You guys were really quiet tonight. Apparently, everyone's busy on Saturday night. So enjoy the show on Sunday morning. See you guys next week. Good luck to every one of you. Dan, parting words. I say I'm ending this how I end my normal fantasy shows. Dan, do you have any parting words for our friends?
Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Darren, any parting words for the league?
I do actually. So real quick, some fun stats because you waited forever to trade Travis Kelce, and I went and I looked. So you got a total of 23 points out of Travis Kelce in the first 4 weeks. Eric's already got 57 out of there.
And then
all right, that's all I got.
Oh, even better. I probably have another 23 from Sam Laporta since I've done that trade. So
Oh my god.
Eric has probably gotten more from Kelsey than I've gotten from tight end this entire fucking season.
There
Thanks,
you go.
Darren.
How's that make you feel?
Yeah, way to ruin my night. I love that.
Yes.
Darren, you've been so right about a lot of things because you're like, that's all you got for Kelsey. And then Kelsey just goes out and balls. Do you know how much I would like to fucking have Kelsey on this team right now?
Jesus.
Oh,
Or you could be the guy that drops Cole Kmet and somebody picks him up, starts him, gets 29 points or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Or
Incredible. Well, that was the Cole Kmet game was even worse. Terry was the one who picked him up and beat me with him. So that was just the icing on the cake right there. So, or drop Puka. Fuck you all. I hate this league. See you next week.
Laters.
Hold on. I'm trying to leave the show instead of end the stream. You guys would have just been